It's time now for the GeoGeeks, our regular segment where we bring in a subject matter expert to tell us what's new and what's happening in one of our core ArcGIS products.
Today we welcome Sue Enyedy, our geomobility advocate at Esri Canada, who's joining us from Hamilton today. Hi Sue, how are you doing?
I'm good. Hi Maggie. Hi Mark.
Hey.
Thanks for coming and joining us today and sharing about the field apps. Because it's your first time joining us as a GeoGeek, we just wanted to know a little bit about your interests and what makes you a geek for the field applications.
Well, I like to say I'm a geomobility geek from way back. In university, I started working with GIS, and as I studied physical geography, I had to do a lot of field work. For my master's thesis, I actually collected features that were part of the karst geomorphology of Manitoulin Island, and we didn't have mobile GIS. So it was a real pain because everything had to be digitized from markups on paper maps or field notes in GIS. And I really wish I had field maps back then because my life would have been a lot easier. So I think I've learned to appreciate how good a mobile GIS can be. And I think the apps are really cool and fun to use because they let you take your GIS outside.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I would have loved to use them a lot more in my university as well. I did human geography, but we did a lot of surveys, so it would have been really handy to have those apps, especially one of my personal favorites, which is ArcGIS Survey123. I love that application.
Me too.
And I heard that there's a couple new things that have come out recently with that. Is there anything that you can share with us that's new?
Yeah, there's a lot of new stuff in Survey123. It's released approximately every 6 to 8 weeks. So what I think is really great is something called location sharing, and I'm sure you've heard of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And location sharing is an ArcGIS organization-wide capability. It was introduced with what we called the Tracker app in 2019, and it lets you, for your mobile crew, track like a breadcrumb trail of where they go in their workday outside the office. So this was part of Field Maps in 2021. But if you were Survey123 user, you actually had to use the Field Maps mobile app on top of Survey123. And now it's part of Survey123. It's super easy to use. It uses the same location sharing capability in your ArcGIS organization. And it's just something your organization administrator enables. And you turn it on in your Survey123 website settings. And then your mobile users will see their location. So you just need the latest version of the Survey123 field app to use this. And it will work even if you're not connected to Wi-Fi or cellular because it uses your location of your phone or device. So it's something people can start working with now. That's really good.
That's awesome. I know sometimes I had to use field maps when maybe it wasn't the right app for me just so I could use those location tracking information. So that's great to see it in Survey123. Really happy about that. And I'm sure our users will be too.
Yeah, it makes people's lives simpler, I think.
Mm-hmm. So that's a really awesome addition to Survey123. I'm pretty excited about that one. But I did hear there was something for our bilingual or multilingual users that might be pretty beneficial as well.
Yeah, that's right. So you have been able to author a multilingual survey using the Survey123 Connect desktop app for a while, and you work directly in Excel spreadsheet with XLS form. It's powerful, but it can be kind of challenging if you're new to Survey123, and a lot of people love the Survey123 web designer because it's drag and drop. So we've added the multiple languages capability. Once you author your survey, it's in the options, and you can choose from any language that Survey123 supports. You can create multiple translations for your survey, and you can translate things like the title, questions, even the message users get upon submission. And it doesn't auto-translate, so you still have to do your own translations, but that makes sure you get it exactly right. Once you save and publish that survey, your users of the survey can toggle between the different languages. And it's, again, something that was automatically added to the Survey123 website in ArcGIS Online, so can be used now.
That's awesome. I know I love Survey123 Connect, but sometimes when you're making that simpler survey where you don't need to have that big XLS form, it's so convenient to have the web designer. That's a big add for our bilingual customers. That's great to hear.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. And then, so we have something new for the field app on your mobile device. We have something new for the web designer. What about Survey123 Connect? Anything new there?
Yeah, there's lots of new things, but I think my favorite new thing is called the Analyze tool. So I'm sure Maggie, you can relate working with Survey123 and XLS form. Sometimes it's a little bit tricky and you can mess up the syntax, and then you try and save your survey or publish it and you get an error, and it's a little bit cryptic to be honest, your error message, and you have to try and figure out what's wrong with it. So now there's a new tool in the latest version of Connect called Analyze. It's under the Publish Survey options. You don't have to use it just when publishing the survey, you can use it anytime. And what you do is you run this tool and it gives you a summary of your issues. So it tells you critical issues that maybe you couldn't publish the survey. Some things might just be warnings that can impact survey behavior and performance. It also gives best practice recommendations. And what I really like about it is it gives you a summary spreadsheet, and you can open it up right from the Analyze window, and it will tell you every cell reference and where the warnings or issues are, and there's links to the help document. So I think it's going to make it a lot easier to troubleshoot your surveys from now on.
That sounds honestly amazing.
Yeah.
I worked in tech support for a couple of years here, and that's going to be a game changer for both our users and people in-house just trying to get some of those more complicated surveys working correctly.
I agree 100%.
What? No more cryptic messages? That doesn't sound... That's half the fun, right?
True.
Okay, well, let's switch gears and talk about ArcGIS Field Maps, which is our signature application to be able to go out into the field and collect data. One of the cool things that we want to mention is how you were able to save smart forms. That's changed a little bit, so talk about that.
Yeah, sure. So if you're a Field Maps user, you'll know that your smart form is what you configure in Field Maps Designer to edit the attributes of your features. And you can do all kinds of cool things like set which attributes you want to put in there. You can remove some, you can do conditional visibility and so on, and even do things like arcade expressions, which I know is your personal favorite, Mark.
I love it.
Yes. Well, you're who I call if I have an arcade question. But now with the smart form, the way we saved it before was with the map. So whenever you use the map, that smart form for the layer was available. But what if you wanted to use that layer across other maps? And you can now save the smart form to the layer. So if you add that layer to a new map, you can see the smart form automatically applied, which is great if you've done a lot of work and a lot of things like calculations. And this smart form will work not only in field maps, but it works for editing in the new map viewer as well. So I think it gives you a lot more flexibility.
Oh my gosh, that is huge. I really love that idea of being able to save that form with your layer. That makes a lot of sense.
It certainly does.
Yes, indeed. All right, and talking about layers, I understand that you can now create layer filters with Field Maps. So talk a bit about what that's all about.
Well, layer filters were a top user request for Field Maps, and this was in the release last fall. So what a layer filter allows you to do is if you're using the mobile app in the field, you can filter the features. And it's created in Field Maps Designer. It's saved to the map. As the map author, you would configure the filter for as many layers as you want and select the attributes to filter by. And then the mobile user will see this layer filter option as an option under the layer tabs in the app. So an example is if you had a database of trees, you could filter them by tree type. For example, show me coniferous trees. And then if you set up more filters for things like species, you could say just show me the pine trees. So this is very useful if you have a lot of layers and a lot of features in a map, that your users can still have all those layers and features, but they can simplify it when they're working in a specific area.
Wow, that is awesome. And man, for me, who couldn't name a tree, a coniferous tree, if my life depended on it, that's going to be a big help. So
yes,
holla for those filters. Very nice. All right, so one more thing I want to mention is how you can now create a map right from Field Maps Designer. So what is that all about?
Well, that came around because Field Maps up till now has just made use of your maps and your layers that you've created your usual method. So you may be someone working in Pro, and then you may publish that map and layers to your ArcGIS organization and share them, or you might have just created them in ArcGIS Online or your portal with the tools in there. But what if you're starting from scratch? It provides this new option, a way to simplify creating maps and layers. It's right from the Field Maps Designer app, and you select new map, and then you can define all the layers you want as part of that map and define the attributes. When you save the map, the new map and the layers get created, and then you can configure it further for the smart form capabilities in Field Maps Designer. So it's just simplifying getting started with field maps, and I think it's really helpful.
I'm all about simple. Sue, that is incredible. You got a lot of things that you highlighted today on the mobile apps, what's new in Survey123 and Field Maps. And so, Sue, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Sue. That was Sue Enyedy, our geomobility advocate here at Esri Canada.